Listen, I hope I'm in the middle. If I'm not, leave me alone. I do not care. Anyways, hello. I'm gonna yap one more time because that's literally all I do. Like, I don't shut the fuck up. I'm gonna have some beer. This technically became the 20-minute makeup challenge because I'm not going anywhere, but I'm cooking. And I have this thing where my food cannot be cold if I made it. Like, I have to eat it right there and then. And I also have to cop. So, let's rush. Like, and I get a little box. That's where I keep all my makeup. Actually, no, it's not. I have a vanity. I just don't use it. I was getting ready at work the other day because I had to go out. It was Saturday. It was literally at the end of my shift. Anyways, that's my makeup's in a doggy bag, which is fine. Who cares? You know, this is a thing I do, and it's kind of disgusting of me. And maybe I'll break that habit, but that habit is not going to be broken today or tomorrow or the next day. Maybe next year. Who knows? I don't wash my face if I like do my makeup. Like, I just won't wash my face until the next day if I'm feeling lazy. And it's kind of like, why? It's so easy. It takes 2 seconds. Like, just get to it. And for some reason I can't. It's just my brain won't let me. There's a blockage or something. It's just not it for me. Okay, so my usual is Blue Moon, but I didn't have it. Bottoms up. Not to be a pick-me, actually. Who cares? A drink is a drink. Bitch, I love me a beer. I love me a beer. Hell yeah. I was gonna talk about like a bunch of stuff today, but I actually don't know how to get to it because there's so many things I could say. Let's give you a story time actually. Anyways, if you can't tell, I'm not right in the head by any means. So I have bipolar, I have OCD, mental illness queen. Anyways, I was not medicated at all until I was like 20 because my mom doesn't believe in that shit, which is kind of like, okay, slay mom, thank you, because it brought me personality, but it also brought a lot of bullshit into my life. But I had fun because I had no regard for my life because I was off my meds or just medicated in general. And like, medicine isn't always going to help you. Like, I still have manic episodes here and there, and this is actually a story from one of them involving the cops. Yep. I was gonna be like, so I'm a very private person, which I'm not. I love to just... So that's not how I'm gonna start my story. Anyhow, me and my mom don't have the best relationship. Like, I'll go there, we're cool, and then next thing you know, we're arguing because there's resentment or something there. I don't know. I can't... We just butt heads. However, I still visit her and I still love her because that's my mother. This is one of those times where I was near her home. She lives like an hour away. I went to take the train. I was somehow at her house. I think I was babysitting or something for my brother. I don't remember. And I had to like take the train back home, and we had just gotten into a really bad fight. So I needed to talk to my therapist, and my therapist was online, so I could technically hit her up whenever I wanted to. So to get to my mom's house from my house, I can't drive. So I take the train. I can take the train that's like a couple blocks away from my house, and I take another one that's a couple, like 10 minutes away from my mom. So it's not that bad. It's literally like an hour ride on the train. It's kind of nice. That day, I think I slept over her house. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember. I am sorry if it sounds like I'm lying. I just literally cannot remember. So like, I just wasn't having a good time. And I get an email from telling me that I owe more than I do. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, yeah, like, we can't give you any more money because you owe this is that. And I needed to go back to school. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, no, like, sorry. And then I'm like, okay, then I really need to talk to my therapist because my mom's arguing with me. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do about college. Haven't been back since. And I just genuinely didn't know what to do. So I called the therapist office and I'm like, hey, I need an appointment for today. And they're like, okay. And then they look at my stuff, and for some reason my insurance wasn't working, which United Healthcare count your days too. You should count your days more, but so I'm like, what do you mean it's not covered? I've been here a couple of times, like, I'm never charged. What's going on? Next thing you know, my insurance denied all my claims out of nowhere. So I'm like, okay, cool, bet. Like, what am I supposed to do? So then I was already just not going through a good time, and I don't know if it like caused a manic episode or what, but I just lost it. I was over it. I was pissed off. I was mad. I didn't know what to do. So I don't know why I did this. Again, I go on Twitter and I tweet at Sally Mae, at Mindful Care, and I think at UHC. If I end it all, it's because of you. You want to know who called the cops on me? And not my psychiatrist's office, not my health insurance. Thank God I don't have them anymore. But Sally Mae. I guess I needed their money back that bad. I'm going home, pissed as fuck. Like, I had just gotten into the train. I don't know what the hell to do. I need therapy. I'm fighting with like all these companies because they're not listening to me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wind down. I have wine in the fridge. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna smoke. I'm gonna hang out on my iPad. It's gonna be fun. It wasn't. I haven't even opened my wine yet, mind you. So I'm like, let's just hang out for a little bit, wind down. I'll have my wine in a little bit. And I get a call. I'm sitting in the bathroom, I'm about to smoke. I'm trying to relax. I get a call and it says something PD. And I'm like, ugh, here it comes. So I pick up and immediately I know what the fuck they were calling for, and I straight up go, if this is about the tweet, I'm fine. Hang up on them. So then they call me again, like a second time, and I'm like, fuck it, like I'll pick up and actually speak to them. They're asking me for my address. I'm like, I don't know, because I went from living at my mom's house to going to my dorm, and then to just moving in with my boyfriend, and he lived in like buttfuck New York before we moved he never lived in Jersey before we moved to Jersey. And I never gave my mom any of my addresses because I didn't want her showing up, or just in general. I don't know why I never gave it to her. If my mom doesn't have my address, the cops no less. So then they go to my mom's house thinking I'm hiding there. Grown ass adult. I was like 22 when this happened, mind you. Or like 23. No, I was 22. So I'm a grown ass woman. Like, there was no need to do that. They were just hunting me down. So then they call me from my mom's phone. I'm talking to my mom. My mom's like, please, like, just give it to him. Like, they showed up, blah, 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 blah. And we live in 2 different counties, too. So, like, it's not like the cops over there can come to me. Whole thing. I finally give in. I give them my address. And I'm like, I know cops are going to come get me. And I was like, if I drink the wine, they're really going to 5150 me. But I also don't want to look ugly if they keep me in there for more than a day. So, I don't know what went through my brain. And I decided to do my makeup. Just really sat there and tried to do my makeup. And by try, I literally mean try, because it looked like absolute dog shit. Like absolute dog shit. And I saw on Twitter that someone says that you can tell like how mentally ill or how mentally well someone is by their eyebrows. And when I tell you my eyebrows were literally 2 lines, like block, that's straight up what it looked like. I think I have a picture. Embarrassing. I just realized I'm not wearing clusters for once. My eyelashes are bleeding because I cut them. I love doing that. Whatever. Excuse me. So I do my makeup really bad. It looks like shit. And I'm like, okay, I know someone's coming. I get a call or a knock. I forgot. Oh, and this was during like a snowstorm. It was just a bunch of snow, and it had just snowed. Something along the lines of like heavy snow and it being cold. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's a cop. And I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. So I open the balcony and I'm like talking to him, and I do not want to let him in. And he's like, well, I can't leave, like blah, 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 blah. So then I open the door. I live in an apartment, but there's like 2 apartments here up there and then 2 apartments down here. So it's just like a little, like literally the smallest hallway ever. It's not even a hallway. You walk in, there's little steps, and then to the left is my apartment. So I open the front door and I'm like, hey, what do you want? And he's like, well, I'm here to do a wellness check. And I'm like, okay, you see me, I'm fine. And I guess that wasn't enough. I guess they had to 5150 me or whatever the fuck it's called, because they didn't keep me in there for that long. I just wasn't having it. He was being super nice to me, so slay. I don't like cops, but slay on UK. And I'm kind of like, what do you want? And he's like, well, I'm going to have to take you. And I'm like, okay, let me get my stuff. And he didn't trust me to go into the apartment by myself. And I was like, what do you think I'm going to do? Jump out the window? I would have actually if he just let me, but that's besides the point. So we're just going back and forth. I'm like being a bitch. I'm mocking him. I'm mocking like his little camera, like, hello, as if I'm gonna get the video. So eventually I'm about to give in, and I'm like, let me fuck with him a little more. So my dog is like a very jumpy dog. He doesn't like people too much, but he won't like bite you. but he's very yumpy, and unless like you tell someone that, like they're gonna be like, whoa. So I was like, my dog's gonna jump on you, that's not my problem, I'm warning you, so if something happens, it's your fault. I let my dog jump on him while I was getting ready. Then for some reason, out of all the shoes in the world, I decided to bring my moon boots. My moon boots? The laces? They were not gonna let me keep that shit. So I'm like, okay, fine, like I'll leave with you with the cop and whatever. And to take you to like the hospital, at least here in my county, the ambulance is free. Thank God I found that out while they were taking me because I did not want to get in there. And the cop was like, usually like we will take you, but like we're a little busy right now. He followed the ambulance to the hospital, so what do you mean? But before that, we're like leaving. He's like, yeah, like the ambulance got a little lost, so we have to walk there. So I'm walking like in the middle, like there's a courtyard in the middle of my complex, like straight down. I don't even know if my neighbors saw me or not. And if they did, that's really embarrassing with a cop to then get into the EMT that I had to walk to because they couldn't figure out where I live. How does that make sense? And the people in the EMT like were literally my age, which made it more like embarrassing. And I just didn't want to deal with it. So I'm sitting there like in silence, like on my phone, like what the fuck guys, like I don't know what to do. So I'm texting my boyfriend like manically, and I'm like, you're literally at work, I don't know what my mom's gonna say, I don't know who can come get me, and this and that. I'm like texting 10 people at once when I'm not really explaining what's going on. So I get there, they're like, change. They take all my clothes away and like give me a bag to put my personal items in, kept my phone. Then I got caught, so they took my phone and gave me like a little ticket voucher thing to like for when I leave. So then I have like psychiatrists or psychologists, I don't know the fuck, or both of them talking to me back and forth. And then I took a nap, and then the same people came and talked to me, and then they were like, well, we need other people to talk to. So then I had them call my mom, and I had them call my boyfriend, and my mom knows damn well I refuse to stay in a hospital. So even if I'm not mentally well, that woman will lie for me. Same with my boyfriend. He knows I'd rather like, if he like left me in the hospital, I would have broken up with him because I just can't do it. I actually had to get admitted to the hospital over stomach problems not too long ago, and I thought I was just gonna stay in the ER, but they gave me my own room and shit, so they had to actually take me upstairs to the hospital. And this was also after visitors hours, so this shouldn't have happened, where they were just gonna admit me to the hospital and they couldn't do it earlier because there were no beds available. So they tried taking me, and I start just bawling my eyes out because I've been in psych ward before and I hate it. So I start bawling my eyes out and like just yelling, and I can't do it. So then they have my boyfriend like come with me because I just can't do it, and he has to explain why I'm so anxious and I'm just like losing my mind. So I just can't stay in a hospital. It's not for me, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, I would rather die than stay in one, but that's a whole other thing. Speaking of dying, I'm like terrified of dying ugly. And I know that sounds really vain, but that's one of the reasons why I haven't just before. I've tried multiple times and then I gave up. I gave up after a while, which is why I have that fear now. And I don't know if it's that fear for cope or if it's the fear for like, damn, like do you really like want to die with like 50 like degree burns? 50-degree burns. Do you really want to die with like 3rd-degree burns on you? Or because you hung yourself and your eyes popped? Like, I just didn't want to do that to myself. I told my therapist that, and she said, although a little weird, at least she knows I won't kill myself. So, am I supposed to say that out loud? I don't care. It's not even getting paid for this shit. I just literally enjoy talking. So, my mom and my boyfriend are lying for me. They're like, she's fine. Like, she has her days. She's okay. My mom's like, oh, she probably just wants attention, which I didn't, but thanks, Mom, for saying that. And then eventually they're like, okay, fine, you can leave. However, you cannot leave by yourself. You need someone to come pick you up. They give me my clothes, I think. Yeah, they give me my clothes back, but they leave my jewelry or whatever with like the people in the front that you have to give a ticket to like get your belongings back. And I'm like, okay, at least I got my clothes. I got my phone, finally. And they're like, you're gonna have to figure out a ride home and someone to actually come get you because you can't leave by yourself. And I'm like, I can literally Uber. And they're like, yeah, we're not allowing that. And I was like, fine. This might have been before I got my phone. Like, my memory is not there for the most part, but essentially what happened was I was ready to leave. They were like, you can't go by yourself. I was like, I'll Uber. They were like, no. And I know I got my clothes back by that point, and they're like, you gotta figure out a ride. I didn't have anybody else's number but my boyfriend's and my mom's. My mom can't drive. My boyfriend was at work. However, his best friend and me are like close, and I trust him a lot, and his brother's my plug. So he's like, hey, like, we can come get you. And I'm like, slay. So then I get my phone back, and they're like, yeah, you still can't leave until they come. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I have my phone, I have my clothes, I'm missing my jewelry, and at that point I didn't give a fuck. I would have just left. They gave me like the little ticket to like get my stuff, but they hadn't discharged me yet, so I couldn't go get it. The nurse that was actually taking care of me was switching shifts with some other nurse. So this bitch literally left like my paperwork to like discharge me and like let me go on top of like the table. And while they were switching shifts, they were talking. I grabbed that shit. I took my ass to like that little place where they had my jewelry, and I ran out of the hospital. Because who the fuck? And then I'm like standing in the corner. It's like raining. I'm like, please hurry up. And then eventually like they get there like literally 5 minutes after like I had ran away from the hospital. And then I'm like, thank you guys. I explained what happened. They're like, oh my god, this shit's crazy. I'm like, yeah. Then we roll up in the hospital parking lot, and I finally get to go home. Also, my lips are, no matter how much water I drink, no matter how much chapstick I put on, they're always dry, and I don't understand why. I was going to like do mascara, but I don't have lashes, so I'll be back. I'm gonna do my lash clusters, and that just pisses me off. So okay, I could have done better, but I was rushing. So this is the beat for today. It's not really a beat, I'm staying home, but you get the point. Bye.